Thank you for that. There are still many questions, and we appreciate your being available to answer those. Already today, you've answered one of our questions, and that was, is there an anticipated date for the forthcoming of additional guidance regarding the program and the mandates? And if so, when will this information be available? You've indicated the charts will be available. You've already indicated that there will be another form coming out that the teachers could use to assess student progress. And if you can forward us the PowerPoint then, or the link to that, along with the chart, then we could provide that to the members, which will certainly provide you with additional information. So that was our first question. I think we kind of answered that, but is there any other information forthcoming that you can share with us, or does that summarize it?
Well, no, that's it, but there will be a chart for registration, kind of the life of the registration, placement, as well as exit process. So that will be available hopefully in the next 2 weeks. It's also in legal's hands. Once they approve and they make sure that we didn't misinterpret the law, then it'll come out to you. Okay?
Several of the questions that you sent us were related to curriculum and integrated instruction. Ms. Infante, if you could elaborate on what configurations of the NISLAT levels and ELL subgroups can be scheduled in a class. We're aware that only 2 grade levels at a time are permitted, except in special circumstances.
We've been talking about that, right? So let's think about what makes sense. All right, so I gave you the example of the psych students, the new arrival, and a student that's been here. How do you schedule those students? You saw what the minutes look like. So I'm not going to discuss the minutes because I think we sort of have that, right? Once you see the chart, you'll have more information. So instructionally, does that make sense? Especially, let's say, with the psych students. You have these students that have this need that is very different. Can you have, if you only have one teacher, have them differentiate? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can have a teacher differentiate because teachers are meant to differentiate and that's what they do. However, asking your ESOL teacher or your bilingual teacher to work with those groups with such a large gap is a very difficult thing to do. So you have to start looking at your programming a little differently. So what does that look like? Maybe maybe through the AIS, whatever it is, but you have to look at those subpopulations differently. I know that we like to just look at, oh, they're all beginners, let's put them in here, all advanced, all intermediate. We need to look at that a little differently. And I think we all understand it makes sense that we're not doing that.
Also, along with the curriculum and integrated instruction, and perhaps you've answered this, if not, you can elaborate and clarify it. There's been a continual adjustment to the language of the regulations regarding the units of study in grades 9 to 12. Originally, the document said that the students were to receive integrated instruction in content areas including ELA, science, math, and social studies. And then in a meeting, it was stated that in all levels in grades 9 to 12, one integrated area must be ELA.
I think I've addressed that, right?
Was that addressed?
Yes, I think I've addressed that, yes.
Okay, so as we said, we're getting more and more information and answering questions as we go along. Regarding parent notification, will the State Ed Department be creating templates of parent notification letters for the programs, and will they provide specific questions to ask during the informal interview? Can the school orientation be conducted by a video presentation?
Okay. So yes, there will be templates, yes, they will be translated, and you can put your letterhead on them. There will be a video, but the interview cannot be solely done on the video. What there will be is a video presentation in 9 languages that you will be able to play to your parents that inform them about the different programs that are available in New York State. So whether you have the program or not, you have to talk to the parents about the existence of these programs because they can request them. So that will be available hopefully in the next month or so. Right now it's at the editors, but so you will have that. However, the question about the questions, there's a group that's currently working on, and they're educators that are working on some possible questions that can be part of the interview because there has never been a set of questions. There has never been that. And when I was in your role, it was very frustrating because everybody did something differently. So there's a group that's actually working on that. If anyone wants to participate in that, let us know. We're more than happy. We have people from on the ground doing this work. The second thing that we're also creating is a questionnaire for SIFE. Okay, so that's something that is very exciting, because what I found is that a SIFE in Buffalo, a SIFE in Long Island, a SIFE in New York City is not necessarily a SIFE. Right? We have different ways of evaluating and identifying and placing. So we're going to have this form that you will be able to use, and then you will have this online tool as well. So those are the things that are up and coming.
We had several questions regarding NICESLAT and NICETEL. One of the questions that came up repeatedly was, is it possible to receive the scores earlier in order to appropriately staff and schedule programs?
I wish I could say yes. We don't, that is not our office, and unfortunately the assessment office, it's a private vendor that does it. It is not even the assessment office for the state. Yes, we would love to say that we can give you that earlier. That is our hope, but I can't guarantee that. I would be lying if I said that. It's not even my office, I can't speak for that.
Will there be additional exit criteria for those individuals with special or severe special education needs that prohibit them from scoring at higher levels on the NICESLAT?
Okay, so I didn't talk about Part 154-3. Okay, so Part 154-3 is for students with disability, and what we are proposing is, so two things. The reason that we have a -3 is because the week before, 3 days before we went to present Part 154-2, the federal government put out a memo that said that you cannot exit students unless there was an alternate assessment. I don't know if any of you saw it. So we had to immediately call them and pulled our special ed piece out of Part 154-2 and created Part 154-3. And what they said to us is the following, that we can create a criteria for exiting students that have a disability that will never be able to demonstrate on the NICESLAT that they are proficient. Not just because they have a disability. So let me explain that again. So we have, for our cut score for commanding on the NICESLAT, a definition of what a child should be able to do. And we are going to continue to have that, but there will be a rubric or some sort of tool that will allow the students to measure, to say, okay, this child has proven either through classwork or whatever it is that we come up with, because the federal government has to approve it. It has to go through a peer review. Once they approve it, then we say, okay, maybe these sorts of things can be evidence that this child is actually proficient in English and it is not their disability. Does that make sense? So that's what we're in the process of doing, because we do want to. We have a lot of kids that will never be able to test out on the NICESLAT, and they're no longer L's. We know that. They just can't. So that's what, it's in the works. We're hoping that the process will go very quickly and that it will actually come to take effect in September. Until they approve it, we can't move forward. Okay.
And one more regarding NICESLAT. Are the new exit criteria for NICESLAT for all ELL students with disabilities, or only for the new entrants in 15-16?
Say that again?
Is the exit criteria for the NICESLAT for all ELL students with disabilities, or only for those new entrants in 15-16?
You're trying to lead me into the answer you want? Okay. All right. Because if I say it here, you're going to hold me to it. I will get back to you on that, because I would want to say both, but I can't officially say that. Okay, I would want to. What is only for the new entrants are that criteria to exit. And remember how I said about sometimes the kids get misidentified? So you may have kids 3 years that the parent claims, or whoever claims that they were misidentified. Those kids will not qualify moving forward September. But the kids with an IEP, we will, I want to say it's both, but I will get back to you and I will give you an official answer so that you can send out to this group. I want to be fair about that, okay?
And one question regarding NICETEL. In one district, they have pre-K teachers that have New York State certification in general education, B to 2, 1 to 6, special education, beta 2, 1 to 6, certification in reading, and a master's degree in literacy and cognition. Can these teachers
This is a
give...
Jeopardy question.
I think it's a yes/no answer, so...
Go ahead, let's see.
Can these teachers give the Nicetel to students whose home language surveys indicate that another language is spoken at home?
Yes, if they
It's a
hold the
yes or no?
certification, yes.
And the answer is yes, Jeopardy.
Okay, any more questions that were not there that maybe after I presented you have some other additional questions? Yes.
I have a question. I've had the situation where a student started school, kindergarten, first grade. They had a second language at home. They were, at that time, lab-art. They didn't require the services. They went to their country. They came back fifth grade, and they said, you cannot lab-art the student again because that's an entry.
Yeah. So we have to deal with that. So what my answer would be that we have to retest that child. Because obviously if the child has been out of the country for 2-3 years, but we have to put that in writing. So we have to put forth and put that in writing, but yes. So that has been a reoccurring issue. Okay, yes.
At the secondary level, we have a lot of mandated courses, what takes a back seat to all these other courses? Like we're talking about an E&L class, we're talking about, let's say the child's also special needs, maybe they have an inclusion setting where they have support class. And now I'm dropping their tech, I'm dropping their art, what am I dropping?
You don't have to drop anything because the child still has to take science. Why can't you do integrated with science? What are you dropping?
No, science is still in their schedule.
Okay.
They have to drop encore classes.
But what are you dropping to add what? What are you adding that's new that I presented?
With
That,
the E&L classes.
but the classes, they're getting actually less standalone.
With the E&L classes, we'll also put in, let's say, a special needs class. We have a situation where we have some students who are E&L and inclusion. And in our inclusion program, we have support periods that also so that means of another period. So you take the 2 periods out of a 9-period day, so the kids will have their core classes, but they won't get or receive the mandated courses that New York State is also saying we have that are.
So let me ask you a question. What are you doing now? Because in what I've presented, you actually have an ability now, you actually have more periods to be able to serve them with those extra classes. So what are you doing now for those kids?
We actually push them into a class.
So how do you give them their ESL services now?
They have beginner, intermediate.
No, but yeah. Yes, so how do you do that now? Because what I just presented to you gives you the opportunity to actually do it integrated, exactly what you're saying you're doing. So it actually gives you that opportunity to do that legally and get credit for it. And what's interesting about that is, so what kind of credits were the kids getting for their ESOL services? Now they get credits that they were not able to get before. So it actually works. You actually will be able to serve them better come September than you are now. Because if that child gets 360 minutes and they're doing it standalone, how are you doing it now? Okay.
And
I think the chart will be very helpful as you look at it because it'll provide you exactly what you're doing. They will be able to fulfill their E&L credits with their content area credits, that they were not able to do that.